Yo, my peoples, what's up? Welcome to Shelf Stories, a channel that tells tales from games, books, and life. I'm your host, Jason. Thank you so much for stopping by for this latest history chat. You guys always give me topics. You guys, the world, gives me topics of interest and conversation. And I don't want to just put content out there just to pile on clicks and views. I don't care about that stuff. I want to try to make positive contributions in education and compassion, because I noticed, people in my circle are talking about what's happening. I want to try to add something positive to the discourse, something educational. So, okay, what's happening? Gina Carano, who plays on The Mandalorian, got fired today for some problematic tweets. And not board gaming culture, but geek culture. And geek culture, we love this stuff. People on my timeline posted about a Mandalorian all the time, especially season 2. Just shows getting better than ever. So it's like, oh man, what's going on now? We can't have anything good, blah blah. On and on down the line. So my piece that I want to add is an historical piece, because what Gina Carano tweeted had a lot of historical relevance, had a lot of historical inaccuracy. And I think I would like to kind of introduce that piece as much as I can, as much as I know, to help people think about, or sort their thoughts out for what's going on. So what was the tweet? So the tweet was to the effect of political discourse, like criticizing political discourse, criticizing the way we talk to each other, how flamey Twitter and social media is, and saying how the government turned neighbor against neighbor in the time of Nazi Germany, and how Jews were kind of pitted against everyday Germans, and that kind of sowed the seeds for the soldier to come in and round people up, and dot, right? We know what happens from there. So I don't want to say anything about the person, that this is a tweet, and I think there's been a history of some stuff. I still can't make a judgment about the person, but the tweet is wrong. This is not an acceptable tweet in our common discourse. It's not an acceptable tweet in, regular culture or our own geek culture. It's just wrong. It's a false equivalence. You can't compare political culture, political speech today to genocide and to anti-Semitism and hatred. And so I wanted to, give a little bit of a understanding of what we're talking about here. We're talking about anti-Semitism. And from what I know about it, I took a class in grad school, done some reading. My teacher, his name was Rabbi Michael Signer of happy memory. Thank you very much, Rabbi Signer, for the education. I'll never forget your instruction, your kindness. So anti-Semitism goes back a long time. Anti-Semitism, as we know it, hatred of Jews in particular, goes back 2,000 years to the death of Christ. And the idea that the Jews were responsible for the death of Christ, that it was a Jewish punishment that led to his death and his, Jesus' rejection by the Jewish people. So that's who knows about that? I mean, how responsible were the Romans and all that stuff. So that's a big historical to do. But, culturally, the Jews were blamed 100% for the death of Jesus. And so they came to be regarded as a cursed people as a result. And what does that mean? What happened from there? It means all sorts of stuff, right? It means stereotyping. It means, the image of the Jew with like the hooked nose and the beady eyes, and, they run everything secretly, the secret cabal, and they, have all the money. They're always going to cheat you. Don't, I've heard all sorts of things about Jews and money, much of which is negative and stereotyping. Worse stuff, worse ideas. Please go ahead, if you don't know the term blood libel, Google it. But blood libel was a idea that rose in the Middle Ages and Christendom era, where Jews were thought to kidnap Christian children and use their sacrifice as blood for their own ritual. So, the Passover involves blood, lamb's blood or some sort of blood. But they thought, the Christians at the time culturally kind of bought the idea that, they were using Christian blood to kind of fuel their rituals. Who knows? Conspiracy theory, right? stealing children. Does that sound familiar? This is old stuff over here. And I could go on, and I want to try to keep this video as short as possible, but so much, cultural, religious, and physical, and like real violence happened. And, as we moved throughout history, stuff never went away. This stuff never really goes away. It gets suppressed, but it was always there. And I think that anti-Semitism on some level is kind of intertwined with the DNA of European historical culture, Christian culture, something that that area of life kind of has to own a little bit. Not that it reduces to that. There's a lot of beautiful things that come from European culture and Christian culture, but that's anti-Semitism is wrapped up in there. So when the Nazis did their thing, there was fertile ground to turn that culture against the Jews. They need a government to animate that. It happened. Yeah, sure. Like the government did propagandize the populace and turn neighbor against neighbor. That did happen. But to exclude the thousands of other reasons built up over thousands of different years that resulted in the Holocaust is just, it's so myopic, it's so reductive, and it's wrong history. So, I'm a historical guy, so I react really badly to bad history. That's number one. And number two, it's bad history that's weaponized, that is trying to be yoked into a point about political discourse. And okay, the idea that, terrible speech between people can lead to worse things. Okay. Fine. That's a fine point to make, I think that from what I see, Gina Carano I don't know anything about her, and I don't want to make any conclusions. I think she cares about the people that are affected by Twitter flames. So she's like, okay, this is her way of trying to say, all right, people, stop Twitter flames. So that the intention might have been really good, but the impact was bad. The statement was bad. Like, we don't compare political discourse to genocide ever. That is so reductive. It is so disregarding of our Jewish brothers and sisters who have this in their history. It's wrong on the face of it, and it's also just wrong in like the context of geek culture, right? Which is what we care, right? This is our community, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to cultivate a welcoming space so everybody can be welcome in our culture, including our Jewish brothers and sisters. And this is not going to be. It's not good. It's not, full stop, point blank, not good. Don't want to say anything about the person, but the statement is not good, doesn't belong in our culture at all. So I hope that that gives people here some historical background for why that statement is so problematic. General rule, don't compare anything to the Holocaust or any genocide, right? Probably the only thing that could be compared to a genocide is another genocide, as terrible as that is to say. Let's not compare anything else to that. That's number one. Number two, I don't know what is going to happen with the person that's behind all this. I truly do hope and pray for some clarification and education and healing, and just kind of move past this and everything. So it's nothing. This is not about the statement about her intent. It's about the impact that it's had on us. So. Thank you very much. Please follow up on some of the education over here. Please continue to watch my channel. I'm on lunch over here. So I'm going to go grab some lunch, and then I'm going to go put on my mask and head back into the office and can continue and finish off my day. So this is Jason reminding you, if you can change your mind, you can change the world. So until next time, later, everybody.